Hobos are not your friends. Way too many needs.
The wallet weight, a cautionary tale. When love becomes a bill, you keep paying. When we first met, Eric made me laugh until my cheeks hurt. He said he wanted an equal partnership. But equality apparently ended where effort began, and I should have seen it coming. I just wasn't. It's paying close attention. At first, I didn't mind paying for little things. Groceries, date nights, new furniture. He was between jobs, and I wanted to be supportive. But months turned into years, and the temporary phase became a permanent vacation. No more free labor, Mr. Hobosexual. He'd say things like, "You're better with money," or "I'll pay you back when things pick up." Spoiler, they never picked up. Well, wouldn't you know. I was working 2 jobs, studying part-time, and covering his share of rent, while he posted motivational quotes about the grind. Geez, what did he say? The final straw came when he borrowed my credit card to get gas and used it to buy gaming equipment. I canceled the card and the relationship the same day. Now, if that isn't, they are desk of a very audacious person. I don't know what is, but I've learned. Imagine thinking you might see a $50 charge for gasoline. Instead, you see $4,700 in charges for gaming equipment. He told me I was heartless. I told him I was done financing his adolescence. And then he tried to do some love bombing, but I'm like, yeah, a half of a dozen of flowers, come on? Do get a job. Now my money goes toward my own dreams. A small clinic I'm opening for holistic health. Every cent I invest in myself feels like a love letter to the woman I was before I started mothering grown men. And honestly, I'm sick of it, and it will not happen again. So Reddit, Ada for cutting off financial support to a man who refused to grow up? And I just feel like a lot of us have been in this situation before to a certain degree, so go ahead and tell me what your experience is. Chime in and get heated in the cover comment section. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share.
This therapist needed therapy badly.
The therapist who needed therapy. How I realized I was healing everyone, but myself. As a psychology grad student, I prided myself on understanding human behavior. I had done a lot of extra studying and a lot of extra conferences so that I could be at the top of my profession. Ironically, I couldn't see the dysfunction right in front of me, my own marriage. My husband, Tom, was charming to everyone else, but behind closed doors, he relied on me for everything. His emotions, his motivation, even his happiness. When he felt low, I'd cancel plans just to help him decompress. When I felt low, he'd say, "You're overthinking again." Now that had started upsetting me a lot, but I just figured maybe, over time, he would come around to see I needed exactly the same as what he needed. He loved to call me his calm center. But truthfully, I was a spinning wheel of burnout disguised as balance, and he was just another partner, taking advantage of situations that should have been equally met. The turning point came when my professor told me I was showing signs of compassion fatigue. That hit hard. It really was more like compassion, exhaustion, and nobody really wanted to say the word exhaustion. I was healing strangers in class exercises, but ignoring the emotional vampire I slept beside. When I decided to deal with it, it was a very hurtful day, and my emotions were just torn and tattered. So I stopped being his unpaid therapist. I told him to try actual therapy. He said, "I don't need it. You fix me just fine." And I had tried to have a conversation with him about how unfair that was to me. But as usual, he just giggled as if my talking him about my meltdowns and compassion fatigue were funny somehow, like he didn't take me seriously at all. That night, I packed my textbooks and moved in with a friend. My next research paper? The psychological toll of emotional labor in romantic partnerships. It was published and quoted by thousands of women who said they saw themselves in it, and don't let me tell you how it caught fire on TikTok when people discovered it. Wow, that was really something. So Reddit. Ada for choosing to save myself instead of fixing a man who never wanted to heal. Now we all know that exhaustion is real. We talk about it at work all the time, but it happens at home more often than not. So go ahead and tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Join the conversation and don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Pride always comes before the fall.
This is a cautionary tale about his ego, my degree, and how the relationship couldn't handle growth, and I'm talking about how he was acting like a sour puss. Every single day it was exhausting. I thought love meant growing together, but what I'm finding out mostly is women are the ones thinking that way. All the while the partners are having crazy, angry, vindictive, life-altering thoughts about us, and we have got to start clocking sooner and escaping to our freedom. Turns out my husband only liked me when I was smaller, quieter, more manageable. The elevated position of manager over me in my own household with my partner was not one that I was happy with, and I let him know that. When I got into graduate school for neuroscience, he congratulated me, then went cold. Every time I studied, he'd find ways to interrupt. "You're always busy. You think you're better than me now? You used to be fun." Now, mind you, this is a sign of someone who has really low self-esteem and has to bring someone else down for themselves to feel fulfilled or happy. I tried to reassure him. I cooked, I cleaned, I compromised, but it was never enough. His insecurity became my daily homework. And again, I focus on this was supposed to be my partner, but he had manager title written all over his forehead. One night, after he mocked one of my research papers as nerd talk, I realized something painful. I was shrinking myself to fit his comfort zone, but he sure would not have been sitting back and not spending any of the great salary that I was scheduled to make after I got my credentials. When I told him I was done, he said, "You're throwing away a good man." I said, No, I'm walking away from a small one. He said once again that he was blindsided, and that I wasn't being fair, and I had to remind him of all the times he tried to shrink me, belittle me, punish me for trying to do better for my life, and our lives. But he just was immaturing, couldn't see it. Now, I'm graduating soon, working on brain research about emotional resilience. Funny enough, he's one of the best case studies I've ever encountered. We have these experiences in our lives that we can always pull from for the experience that we need. To use that too, 12 level up and get better in our own existence. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for outgrowing the man who refused to evolve with me, who had plenty of chances to level up himself? Go ahead and chime in, and don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Stop apologizing.
The woman who stopped apologizing. And I mean apologizing for everything, even his errors. No more sorry for wanting more. I used to say sorry for everything. Sorry for asking for help. Sorry for being tired. Sorry for not cooking. Sorry for dreaming, and honestly, sometimes I would even make myself angry at myself for how people-pleasing I had become. I did not want that for my future. My husband Nate thrived on that word. Every time he dropped a responsibility, I picked it up and apologized for noticing. I mean, don't I sound really? I'm sad at that point, but at least I'm on the road to healing right now. When I told him I wanted to apply to a medical fellowship abroad, he said, "That's not realistic for someone with a husband." Now that really chopped my butt cheeks and made me so mad, but I realized something at that moment. I was nothing more than a wife appliance to him. Switch me on, I cook. I switched myself off. Then he switched me on, I do laundry, then I switch myself off. That is no way to live a life, and that was the last apology he ever got. I applied. I got in. And when I told him I was leaving for Europe, he asked, "What about me?" I said, "You'll figure it out like I always did." Oh, he was raging pee. Off. But I told him, "Oh, don't worry about it. If you can't figure something out, just call your mommy, because your brother is doing fine. In his home, he's doing laundry, taking care of his family, and he gets the nookie all the time from his wife. Go figure." Living abroad changed everything. I started journaling about how many women live their whole lives saying sorry for wanting peace, passion, or purpose. That journal became a book, which became a bestseller. Now I sign every copy with the same line: "You don't need permission to outgrow your cage." And wow, I had several people in Los Angeles tell me that's a bar, because at that time I had come back stateside to do a book tour, and LA was one of my stops. So Reddit, Ada for no longer apologizing for becoming the woman I was meant to be, and shatting that dead weight of a husband who was really working me into bulging varicose veins in my feet and legs. Now friends, I'm sure that, people who have lived through this, and you might want to speak on it. So go ahead and join the conversation and tell us what you know about this topic and help me grow the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.